Firing, he's going for Landry down by the end zone, a tumbling catch for a touchdown! Jump, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown! Is this how it feels to win?
Welcome back to episode 42. This is Surviving the Season, and I am your host, Greg Hare. Back after a big game, big win over the Miami Dolphins. Pretty easy win, to be honest. Big game out of Jarvis Landry out there blessing them. Good God for some of these Miami Dolphins defenders. I mean, things are looking pretty bleak over there. Watching Miami reminds me a bit of our first season here at Surviving the Season, the 2016 Browns. Tearing everything down, starting from new, and a lot of guys who probably don't even belong out on the football field out there trying to play. But you only get to play whatever team's on the schedule that week. We got the Miami Dolphins this week, and we took it to them as expected. So big win for the Browns. That's 3 in a row now. Much needed win again. Just a little bounce back for Baker, but he's stringing together a good amount of games here now in a row. Odell Beckham with another pretty solid game. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, everybody getting it done. Defensive side of the ball. Heck, you got Chad Thomas out there even with 5 tackles yesterday. Sheldon Richardson playing some defensive end, just makeshift defensive line. I mean, this is our defensive line. Chris Smith, Chad Thomas, Eli Enkow, Sheldon Richardson, Brian Cox Jr., who had a sack in his first ever NFL game, Deverell Lawrence, Porter Gustin. So that, Porter Gustin, USC guy, sounds like the kid that was the little fat kid that ate all the chocolate from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the little German kid. That's who knows? It might really be him. I'm not even sure. It's a grown-up version of that kid, but he's out there playing defensive end for us, getting the job done. Had a sack on the day as well. Porter Gustin. Good job. Excellent all-around play. Going into the game, I mean, this is pretty much what we expected. We didn't really expect much out of this Dolphins team to really be able to compete. This is a good confidence builder for the Browns. When teams like Baltimore get early in the season, would they have Cincinnati maybe twice even early on, and then they got to play the Dolphins, the Jets. They had a number of pretty easy games, help build some confidence. The Browns had such a tough go at the beginning that it seems like maybe that stunted their growth a little bit, and maybe a big win like this over Miami yesterday might be something to help push them forward. Hopefully, give them a little bit of confidence to move along and win some of these games. Really, we need to win a game against a team that we're not expected to win. One real win this year against Baltimore, who is obviously playing better now than what they were at that time. They switched up their linebacking core. They made some changes to the defense, picking up Peters and whatnot. That was a big win at the time, but that's really the only win that you can pull right now for the Browns this season that goes, hey, that's a win, that was a big win, one that we don't necessarily, it's not like a one that we're expected to win, one we actually had to fight for. Yesterday against the Miami Dolphins, this is one we expect to win, but you still have to go and play the game. You still have to play the game. And they took care of business, so huge, just big win by getting 3 in a row. So you got to take them any way you can get them. I was at the game yesterday. I wouldn't say it was the crowd was decent size. It was good size. Everybody was pretty pumped up. A lot of free miles. Everybody with their free mile shirts, and that's what the t-shirt vendors were selling. A lot of those. I saw some shirts with Miles, cracking Mason Rudolph over the head. So that's already, as I thought would happen, that would turn into one of the images that the Cleveland Browns fans will be taking with them here into the future. It's already started just 1 week after the incident. You already have a T-shirt out there and people wearing them around. So pretty much that is as expected as well. So let's jump in here into this game here a little bit. Farrell Brown was the only real inactive that was a little bit shocking, I guess. So that gave Steven Carlson. He's the one that ended up taking his snaps and really started right from the beginning. Not bad. I mean, Steven Carlson's been pretty solid here so far. He played 36 snaps yesterday. He graded a 61.7 overall on Pro Football Focus, 74.6 pass blocking, 73.2 in run blocking. So that is basically what Farrell Brown could give you, was that blocking. You're getting that with Steven Carlson, and then you're going to get a little bit added threat in the pass game. I don't think Steven Carlson had a catch yesterday. Let me look up real quick. Actually did. He had one catch for 8 yards on one target. So, they think Steven Carlson has a little bit more versatility, so they go ahead and activate him over Farrell Brown. So we'll see going forward. Njoku most likely will be back into this next game, so he could have played in this one. They elected to get him a little bit more time getting ready, a little bit more time to get back into the swing of things, and we should see him this next week against the Steelers. Other than that, pretty much not too much of the surprises. Of course, the defensive line with Sheldon Richardson playing a defensive end. I thought that was interesting. It actually worked out pretty well. So Richardson was the third highest. Chad Thomas, the top graded Cleveland Brown defender yesterday, 89.9. Not sure how they got. Okay, so he's a 66.5 run defense, a 73.3 tackling, 62.4 pass rush, and a 90.6 cover, and that gives him an overall grade of 89.9. He only had 8 coverage snaps. I'm not sure how that all works out. I would like to. We need to get John Costco in there, maybe explain this one a little bit, because the bulk of what he did, he didn't. He graded right there around average, but he grades out the highest. So I don't know if this is a misprint or what. 4 pressures on his 28 pass rush snaps. That's pretty good. You're not going up against the greatest offensive line. In fact, it's one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen in history, but he gets the job done. Like I said, you can only play the guys that are in front of you. He had 5 tackles on the day. Sheldon Richardson was, like I said, the third highest, 80.7, 79.8 in the run defense. And I thought that's where he really... You could see it, man. He holds down his side. Like when they tried running it anyway, anytime they went to Richardson's side, it was a tough haul for Miami, and he was wrapping up, holding contain, and really making plays over there. And also had 6 pressures on the day, 2 sacks, 1 hit, 3 hurries, 3 tackles of his own, 3 defensive stops. I mean, Sheldon Richardson playing a hell of a game. And then the second, since I went 1 and 3rd, I'll give you the second one. It was Joe Schobert with the 2 picks. Really didn't have a ton of tackles, 5 tackles on the day. Had 1 pressure, 1 hurry. But in the pass game, he 7 targets, only gave up 1 reception for 12 yards. And really that's where his grade really got boosted up, 85 cover grade by Joe Schobert. So that was the top 3 Browns, but let's get into this game a little bit. We started off, if you recall, at the Cleveland 25, and very first play of the game, Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb rumbling, stumbling, bumbling, running people over. I mean, this has been Nick Chubb all year. 32-yard gain on the day. Nick Chubb had 21 carries, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. That's a 5-yard carry average. It's not like the Dolphins were just giving up huge gains, every single run. There was times where they, stopped you for a 2 or 3 yard carry, but the Dolphins just they don't create any negative plays with their defense. And when you don't create those negative plays in the NFL, it's just tough for your defense to stop you, because you're talking about 3rd down and short, or your 2nd down and short. So often it's pretty easy to pick up those first downs. And really, with the cornerbacks that the Dolphins were playing and the secondary, it was a piece of cake there. So also Nick Chubb added 3 catches, 58 yards in the pass game on 4 targets. So big game out of him. But very first play of the game, 32 yards, and then you come back. You're at the Miami 43-yard line. You come right back with Kareem Hunt for 5 yards. And then 2nd down and 5, it's Baker Mayfield deep to the right. It's Jarvis Landry, 18-yard gain down to the Miami 20. A couple plays later, it's 3rd down and 8. We're sitting Miami 18, and this is where Landry gets the pass interference. And Miami had a couple of those on the day. There was a couple, I believe, against Odell, and this one being on Landry that set us up. And they could not match our wide receivers, and it proves. I mean, look at these stats for Jarvis: 10 receptions, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns on 13 targets. Odell, 6 receptions, 84 yards, 1 touchdown on 8 targets. I mean, you're talking about 230 damn yards out of these guys on 16 catches. And then I have people, a friend of mine after the game, like, hey, there's no reason to keep Odell. Like, Jarvis is the guy. It's like, wait a second. At this, if we can find a way to keep both of these guys, though, as well as their play, like, this is not an issue with the offense here, right? We don't have a problem with. It's not like you can look at this wide receiver core and go, you know what, we gotta do something with these 2 wide receivers to switch things up. No, we need to get Njoku back and healthy, give us a threat down the seam. We need to fix our tackles. We need to figure out what we're going to do at right guard. But what are we even talking about? If we can work the money out where you're going to keep both of these wide receivers, what are we talking about getting rid of one? There's no reason. And on top of that, there's not a chance in hell, let's be honest here, that John Dorsey is going to get rid of one of these guys in the offseason. I can't see it. You're not going to separate these guys. They've been fantastic. Both guys are going to be over 1,000 yards by season end. You're getting a ton of production out of them. What's the point? Why fix something that's not broken? You need to fix the offensive line. You need to figure out, also Kareem Hunt. You're going to have a tender there for Kareem Hunt to. I mean, that's a no-brainer. So you're going to have Nick Chubb, you're going to have Hunt, you're going to have Njoku, you're going to have Landry, you're going to have a Beckham. Here's an idea. Let's protect Baker. Let's figure out how to protect him as best we can, and let's get the ball out of Baker's hands quick and get it to these playmakers where we're going to be loaded with playmakers and let the guys go make some plays. I mean, this is simple stuff, guys. We shouldn't be trying to overthink this. This is simple stuff here. Fix the things that are broken with this team, and let's just go with the things that are working. Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham are working. So let's, you can sit there and go, well, I was expecting 1,500 yards out of Odell. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. If he gets you 1,150 yards and Jarvis gets you 1,200 yards, are we complaining about that? Like, let's find some real issues on this team. That's not the issue. All right, so that was after the big 3rd down and 8, and we get the defensive pass interference to get us to 1st down on the Miami 15 at the time. Two plays later, it's 3rd down and 8 at the Miami 7, and this is where Baker hits Jarvis Landry for the touchdown. He just runs a little slant stuff that this is actually something that we've tried. So we get down in the red zone and we convert this week. I think we did kick one. We did kick one field goal when we were in the red zone, and we'll get there later. I believe that was in the 4th quarter. But we've run this play numerous times of Jarvis just running this slant. The difference is this is Nick Needham out here who just what did he grade? I mean, talk about a bad day. If you're Nick Needham's family, good Lord, you feel terrible. Nick Needham a new job because this football thing's not working out for him. Yeah, he's the lowest graded player on Pro Football Focus. 32 overall. He was a 38.1 in coverage. I mean, that is basically about as bad as you can get. Just standing out there would probably get you a 30. So if you just stood on the field, have the ball snapped, and you stand there, you don't move, they go, that was 30 grade. That's good enough. Nick Needham, slightly above that. Just barely over that. Just barely over a notch over that. It was Jarvis who went up 2 times. The 2 catches in 3 plays, or the big ones where he went up and snatched it out of the sky. That was over Needham. Odell did it a couple times on slants and whatnot. So this guy, he got his lunch ate all day. Besides him, the other cornerbacks, Ken Crawley, he 47.7. His was garbage. Ryan Lewis 58. I mean, they're probably telling him good job after the game. Hey, nice job. Pro Football Focus got you down for a 58, so you're nearly average. Good, great job, Ryan Lewis. But just able to pick apart this defense. I mean, who are these guys? Ryan Lewis, who are you? Never heard of you. Nick Needham, I don't know who you are. But hey, that's who's on the schedule. That's who you got to take advantage of, and the Browns did. So we're up 7-0 early. Right away, we're thinking, okay, let's see. Are the Dolphins going to be able to do anything against this defensive line? Like I said, they come out, and then the first play they line up for, you see that we have Sheldon Richardson at defensive end. I was like, I wasn't thinking they were going to do that, but I do like it. I like the fact that you realize there's not going to be a lot of pressure you're going to be able to create. So the one thing, when you go back and watch this game, you'll see there was a lot of stunts, some twists, things of that nature, where you're trying to get guys, you're trying to create a little bit of a pass rush, which is, hey, that's phenomenal, especially when you're going up against a team like the Dolphins. I thought they brought a good amount of blitzes. I don't know what their percentage was. I don't know where it was against their average of the year, but they were definitely trying to create pressure. The problem is when you run some of these stunts and the teams are actually running plays and they beat you through where you're stunting from, that can turn into a huge gain because you give up your gap responsibilities a lot of times. We'll see going forward how much they do that. They might have known, hey, Miami being a young, very ineffective offensive line, this is going to be an offensive line that we can take advantage of. We can run these stunts, and they're going to have communication issues. And that's what happens typically. I mean, seems like the Browns really often, we shouldn't, because we've had some experience offensive lines, but the stunts always seem to kill us. But you would think the longer you play together as a group and the more veterans you have there, the better your communication is going to be. You're going to be able to hand off the stunt, whoever's stunting, whoever's trying to pick for the other guy. You'll be able to figure that out a little bit better. But I felt like the Dolphins struggled with that, and it's not like we had a ton of pressures all day on Fitzpatrick. I thought there was times where you could easily tell that you're missing Miles because he gets you that instant pressure, but they did a good enough job to get you by. Gave up 24 points in this game, which you don't like to see, but really first half they locked them down the first half. You get out to the big lead, and then they are coasting from there. So right off the bat, they go -1 to Hearns. Kalen Ballage, who, good luck to him. He doesn't look like he has anything. He can't find a hole. He can't break a tackle. But he went for a yard on the next play, and then after that, 3rd down and 10, and Fitzpatrick gets fumbled by Sheldon Richardson, and then they end up punting. So they go 3 and out right away. Browns get the ball back at the Cleveland 23, and we have a hold right off the bat. It was Wyatt Teller. What do we have for, let's see here, for penalties? Because it felt like we had a few penalties today. Browns ended up with 7, Miami with 8. So seven's too many. 7's too many yet again. The Browns are getting up there in penalties. You can't really say it hurt them. I mean, you end up winning the game 41-24. But if you're going to be playing a better team, you have to find a way to start limiting these penalties. And again, they just keep creating too many. So you're starting 1st and 16 now at the Cleveland 17. Chubb runs for 7. Then you had the big pass to Nick Chubb for 22 yards. So he gets huge yardage. Very first 2 series of the game where he goes for what's that, 53 yards? He's already there. You come back, you get that takes you down to the Cleveland 46, and you get Hunt for 9. So you get the 2nd down and 1 if you recall. So you go Kareem Hunt goes for 9. You get the 2nd down and 1, and now you're thinking at the Miami 45, hey, we can do whatever we want here. We can try to throw one deep. I thought they were going to do that a couple times, take advantage of these bad corners. Let's get to OBJ, 2nd down and 1, take a shot. They are in shotgun, and Baker, it looks like he might be changing the play or maybe moving the protection or something like that, and the ball snapped. The rest of the offensive line does not look ready, so it looked like Treader. That was all on Treader. Goes by Baker. He has to run back there. They end up losing 20 yards. The guy sitting behind me as I'm at the game is trying to tell me Baker needs to pick that ball up and throw it away, and I'm just like, dear God. But yeah, maybe if Baker had eyes in the back of his head, he could have picked that ball up and made sure he didn't get killed and thrown it away. But look, it's basically you dive on that ball, you punt, you're fine with punting, you live to play another day. The worst thing you could do to a underdog team like Miami, who you know is going to struggle moving the ball against your defense, is give them an easy turnover there deep in your own territory, or God forbid, let them pick up the fumble and run it in for 6. I mean, that's where you just jump on it and go, okay, it kind of screwed up our series, but it is what it is. Let's move on. So 3rd and 21 doesn't matter. Incomplete to Landry, illegal formation anyways, which was declined, and they end up punting. Then Miami comes back 3 and out, nothing there, and we get the ball back at the Cleveland. Nice field position, Cleveland 40, and go 5 plays in 2 minutes, 54 seconds and score a touchdown. First 4 plays, nothing huge. Let's see here. Beckham gets a little slant for 4, or that was a little screen play. And then Chubb goes for 7. Kareem Hunt catches a little pass for 3. That was a little the reverse, and then a 6-yard pass to Landry, and then you get the big one. It's first down and 10 at the Miami 35, and Odell Beckham Jr. running like a seam pattern, or he's clear out pattern almost, and he actually has Higgins coming behind him. There's both guys wide open. I mean, Baker could have thrown it to Odell. He could have thrown it to Higgins. Both guys wide open. I have no idea what coverage that was. I've never seen. It was like cover 0, and what we mean by cover 0 is don't cover anyone, because that's what we're Miami. And I know everybody says, well, it's ridiculous to say Miami's tanking because they're trying to win. Yeah, that's not what like when the Browns were getting rid of all their players. It's not like the players that were actually out there were trying to lose the game. Of course, they're trying to win the game, but the whole organization as a whole is trying to tank by putting guys like Nick Needham out there and whoever else I mentioned earlier that we'll never hear of again out there to try to play defense against a team that's actually trying to win as an organization. So Miami, whatever defense that is, I'm sure that's not the way they drew it up. Somebody somewhere did not know what they're supposed to be doing, but Baker could have thrown it to Higgins, who was wide open, could have thrown it to OBJ, who was wide open. Doesn't matter. It's 6, and we go up 14-0, and I was already going, okay, anybody want Bloody Marys? I'm going to go get them. Extra spicy, Miller Lite, anybody? What do you guys want? Because this game's over, we can start celebrating. So Miami gets the ball back down 14-0, if you recall, at their own 25. They get to 4th down, and this is so fucking Miami. It's unbelievable. They get to 4th down. They line up in punt formation, and they had 4th and 7, and they try running this little like sneak up the middle. Taki's there to blow it up, and you see again Taki being the number 1 hype man in the league. He's out there getting after it and letting everybody know that he made the play, and super happy for him. He's out there. Making a couple plays. I liked what they did with Taki on defense, where they're putting him at the end and rushing him. He does a nice job of rushing the passer. I mean, at BYU, he played some defensive end, right? So let's take advantage of that. He's playing linebacker here, his senior year at BYU. He converted to linebacker. While we're missing defensive ends, throw Taki in there. Let him blitz a passer a little bit. He looked pretty goddamn good at it. But they try to run the fake punt, and it doesn't work out, and we get the ball back deep in their own territory. 6 plays, 3 minutes, 39 yards. We go 34 yards starting from the Miami 44 and score a touchdown. Pretty easy stuff here. It was first down. Baker started off that drive. Steve Carlson for 8. Chubb for 4, Chubb for 6, Chubb for 5. So running the ball down their throat a little bit. We did have a hold on Treader that pushed us back to 2nd down and 14. But then they gave it right back. Ken Crawley. This is another defensive back of that. Ken Crawley. Who? Ken Crawley. Okay, he's pass interference on Jarvis there. That gets us down to the 5-yard line, and then it's the very next play. Jarvis Landry 5-yard touchdown. That touchdown not so easy as the first one, if you recall. Baker gets out of the pocket, has to buy a little bit of time, throws to the back of the end zone, and Landry makes an excellent catch. I mean, Landry really had, 3 or 4 just phenomenal catches in this game where he goes up, has to take it away from the defender. So, Landry, by all means, this year, it's by far the most efficient he's ever played. It's not even in question. Like, by far the best year that Jarvis Landry's having. And, a big part of that is the fact that you're playing with Odell, and Odell can create, he takes away a lot of, the defense's focus is so much on Odell that it helps for Jarvis get a lot of going up against the second cornerback or getting a lot of one-on-one matchups, and then you can take advantage of that. So he's doing an excellent job. And really, the one thing that I've always thought about Jarvis is like, hey, man, he's really a slot receiver. He's proving more and more every single week that he's very good on the outside. Now, when he goes up and he makes these contested catches, the reason why he's making contested catches after contested catches like this, because he doesn't create a lot of separation. Hey, but the reception's a reception. At the end of the day, you go up, you catch it, so be it. We'll take it any way we can get it. Now, obviously, I think you're crazy if you get rid of Odell and you're not having another speedster. Like, you really have to have a guy that can take the top off the defense, opposite of Jarvis. I just feel like that's the only way. That's the best thing you're going to do for Jarvis. It's going to open up the underneath stuff for him, be able to let him catch the ball and then create afterwards. That's what you need. You need those safeties to be off. But by all means, he's doing exactly what he was brought here to do. So really earning his check. We know he's an excellent leader. He's proven that week in, week out, that he's the heart and soul of this team. So really, really happy for Jarvis. Really happy for this John Dorsey. In seeing like, hey, how important this can be, having this sort of guy on your team. I think it's paid off in dividends here. So after that, heck, we're up 21-0 already, for Christ's sakes. They come back. Miami actually, they're like, hey, let's put together a little drive here. We're going to go 9 plays in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Really, let's see. Alan Hearns had an 18-yarder on 3rd down and 4. That was a big play for them. Other than that, it was, it's a lot of little stuff. But then it was Ryan Fitzpatrick. They get down to the Cleveland 31. It's 3rd and 3. Albert Wilson gets open. Fitzpatrick puts the ball right on him. Actually goes off his helmet. Joe Schobert's there to pick it off. So both of Schobert's interceptions were really gimmies. It's not like Schobert went out of his way to make a phenomenal play on the ball there. It's the ball got bounced up in the air and came to you. But guess what? Hey, 4 interceptions in 2 games, dude. Like, I'm not going to complain about it. It is like he's doing a phenomenal job. You got to have, if the ball's there, you got to catch it, and he's doing a good job of catching it. Thank you very much, Ryan Fitzpatrick. He should probably send something to Fitzpatrick for a couple gifts on the day. We turn around, and what are we going to do? We actually get a interception, we get a turnover, and then we capitalize on it. So kudos to the Browns offense here. 9 plays in 4 minutes, 45 seconds. They go 57 yards. They started there from the Cleveland 27, Chubb for 3. Baker Mayfield throws to Chubb for 4. Then you get Landry for 9 on 3rd down and 3. Big 3rd down conversion there. We were only converted to 50% of our 3rd downs. It seemed like we were better than that, but that's what the stats show. I'm not going to argue with ESPN. Then you go Hunt for 2, and then you hit Odell for 16 yards on 2nd down and 8. This one was on Ken Crawley to Odell, 16 yards. It was a lot of RPOs. I think this one was an RPO. I don't know for sure, but I think they ran a number of these slants to Odell and Jarvis for that matter. But a lot of the RPO game worked. A lot of just everything was working, and you can just tell it. You go up against a bad defense, man. Everything that maybe you struggled with earlier. I think there wasn't even a time we went empty worked. I mean, everything was working. Whatever we ran, it was working, and it helps. So you go up against these bad defenses, like I said, you build up a little bit of confidence. A couple plays later, Demetrius Harris catches 1 for 8 yards. I don't think he's dropped a pass since like week 1, so he was like a 22% drop rate, and he's only has 12 catches on the year, like 1 drop, so he's probably due for a couple, but yeah, he's been pretty good up to this point catching the ball. Not a lot of production by any means. Then you come back 15 yards to Odell. This is all the way like a minute left on the clock, if you recall. Then we throw. It's 1st down and 10 at the Miami 22. And they throw deep right to Odell, sort of just like maybe a back shoulder. I can't remember exactly, but it's Needham who's on him there. I believe it was Nick Needham who's on there, and it's incomplete, and they come back, they get ready to run the next play, and the officials come out blowing the whistle, and it's getting reviewed, and I'm thinking, wait, what the hell are they reviewing? They come back and they say, hey, there's pass interference on the defense. Now, I've seen so many more defensive pass interference that have looked worse than this, and somehow they call this one back. And not only that, it's actually a booth review, right? Freddie Kitchens didn't throw the flag to want to take a look at this. It was a booth review from upstairs. They take a look at it. It gets reversed, and the Browns get the ball all the way at the Miami 6. But who knows? I mean, there's no way, right? There's no way that they're going to be keeping this just ridiculous pass interference rule where you can go and have the booth review for these things. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what is and isn't. We know what it is in real time. Like, we can tell if there's actually like, oh, that's pass interference. Like, everybody seems to know, but then once you go to the booth review, nobody knows anymore. You've ruined it. You've essentially ruined the entire rule, because sometimes we're going to call it, sometimes we aren't. This one, I mean, they could be the exact same looking plays on a different day, and they just go, well, I don't know. Let's say this one is. It's nonsense. It's been terrible. The whole rule, the looking at these things is terrible. They need to take this out. Go back to what you're doing. Sometimes the referees are going to make some mistakes. Sometimes they're not. Either that, or you're actually going to go, any kind of contact, we're going to have to call a pass interference. You just can't go, oh, well, this one seems like enough, this one doesn't, and they look exactly the same. It's terrible. Very next play, Kareem Hunt, 6 yards. He bounces it to the outside. Kareem had a really, I think it was earlier in the game, we already passed it, where he juked a couple times, man, and he just looks, like I said again, so fresh right now. I mean, Nick Chubb's still running everybody over, and he's been out there for, 11, 12 weeks, whatever. But Hunt really just has a lot of burst in his legs right now. Another big game. What did I say? I don't know if I gave you his stats before, but I'm going to do it again, even if I did. He had 8 carries, 37 yards, only a couple catches today, 2 catches, 9 yards on 3 targets. So another pretty decent game for Kareem, and he gets in the end zone, and that was 28-0. Game basically over. Somehow they get the ball back here with a minute left on the clock, and they go 63 yards and 9 plays. Get down to 1 second on the clock, and they were able to get, how far was that field goal? Yeah, they were able to get in range to kick a 36-yard field goal. The big plays, Devontae Parker, 22-yarder on 3rd and 7 from the Cleveland 40. That was rough. And it was Mike Gesicki had a couple catches before that to move him down. Pretty bad job by the Browns with only a minute left to let the Dolphins drive that deep. But really, it was inconsequential. 28-3 at halftime. No worries from anybody. I mean, the game felt like it was over already. We get into the third quarter. We kick off to them, and they went 3 and out right off the bat. We get the ball back and run 3 plays, and Baker throws the interception. So right before Baker throws the interception, it goes off Odell's hands. Again, I believe that was an RPO, and Baker Odell's running the slant. Right before that, they run a slant with Landry, and Baker throws a perfect strike. And then come back, Odell's wide open. Baker throws behind him, ball gets bounces up in the air, and Ryan Lewis gets the interception. And that's where Dolphins take over. This is the really the only bad part of the whole day for the Browns, is where you give up these 17 straight points. Giving up 24 is not good, obviously, to the Dolphins. 21.5, you don't want to see it. But really, the last score was a by-the-way score. The game was over. But when you give up 17 straight points, you're up 20. You go in 28-3. Next thing you know, it's 28-17, and you're going, come on, man, you could have put this away already. And that's okay. It gives Freddie something to go in and bitch about, something to keep the players focused, which I think they're going to be highly focused going into this Pittsburgh game, let's be honest. So they get the ball back at the Cleveland 46. They go 7 plays, 46 yards in 2 minutes, 57 seconds. They started off with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He scrambled for 7. Whole lot of nothing. Let's see, Ballage for 3. On third down, they got to 3rd and 3, and Ballage picked up 3 there when he lined up as a quarterback. They got to a 3rd down and 6 at the Cleveland 32, and Fitzpatrick hits Devontae Parker for 21 yards, so that's a big a big play for them, and then Fitzpatrick comes back and hits Mike Gesicki in the back of the end zone, 11-yard touchdown. Really, actually pretty easy little drive, but nothing hurt. It's 28 to 10 at the time. No big deal. Browns get the ball back. They drive right down. 10 plays, 48 yards. They took 5 minutes 33 off the clock. Big play there was one of the deep pass to Landry for 17. Landry also for 12 on that. It was second down and 9. Baker throws a little incomplete to Nick Chubb, and Christian Wilkins starts talking trash to Baker, and he's like, look, what's the scoreboard say? So please, zip it up, dude. 3rd down and 9, Baker gets sacked. Who was it? I believe it was Harris. He just absolutely runs over Hubbard. Again, you see the tackles are an issue. I believe Greg Robinson had 2 penalties on the day. One of them was for being downfield. Early in the game, Baker, they were running what shouldn't have been an RPO, I don't think, because Landry wasn't even running a route. And for some reason, Baker didn't hand the ball off and then threw it, and there was 3 offensive linemen downfield, Greg Robinson being one of them. They could have picked any lineman at that time. But after the Baker sack, it makes the Seibert field goal 46 yards and really misses it pretty badly. It just straight hook, ugly looking kick. And the Dolphins take over. Again, we're sitting here at 28 to 10, nothing to worry about. And the Dolphins go 11 plays in 4 minutes, 49 yards, and score another touchdown. This one, it was Ryan Fitzpatrick running it in. 3rd down and goal from the Cleveland 8. I believe it was a 4-man rush. They're playing man defense. Guys turning their back. Gets through. Somebody was there to almost. I think Chad Thomas might have had a chance at him, but couldn't quite get his paws on him. And Ryan Fitzpatrick really just gets an easy touchdown on it. So again, giving up that 17 points, that's rough. And now it's 28-17. It's like, okay, we got to get something here. And Cleveland responds. 10 plays, 38 yards after the Dolphins touchdown there. They're able to, put some points on and answer it and make it a 14-point game after that. Let's see. Demetrius Harris had a 12-yarder there. Nick Chubb had a 9-yard run. They had a big defensive pass interference against Beckham that moved us down, and we end up settling for a 40-yarder. Miami turns around, goes 3 and out, and then we kick yet another field goal. This one, we go 8 plays, 67 yards in 2 minutes, 57 seconds. This one ended up being a 26-yarder. This is the one where we get into the red zone, but really Baker has 2 throws there in the red zone that if he puts a little bit more touch on, we're going to have 6. We end up settling for 3. So be it. And then on that drive was the 2 plays where Landry goes up and just makes spectacular plays over Needham. The 22-yard pass, and then 2 plays later, the 37-yard pass down the sideline. So both just really good, spectacular catches by Landry. Right after that, what does Miami do? They go 3 plays for -10. They throw the pick. Fitzpatrick gets sacked on 2nd down and 10, and they come back in 3rd and 20 and throw it right to Joe Schobert. And then the Browns cap off the game with a 5-yard Nick Chubb touchdown. The Dolphins get the by the way touchdown. Allen Hurns 19 yards after that. Final score 41-24. No point in me even going over these final ones. Really inconsequential. But Dolphins showed up, played. They gave it their all, but you just couldn't stick with us. We had just way too much offense from us. They couldn't slow us down all day. So the Browns, after this win, we go to 5-6. The Steelers won. They beat the Bengals. So it's not a fantastic win by any means. Mason Rudolph getting benched in the game, but they're there. I think the Steelers still have a game on us at this point. So this game next week here in Pittsburgh, it's going to be a big one. Browns basically going to have to rattle off these last 5 if they want any chance of this playoff, but it's possible. I've seen the statistics being 25% chance. That's not like it's you have 0 chance here. There is a chance. There's an outside chance. You have to have a lot of things bounce your way, but you have to take care of it first. You need to win all these games. You can't afford to lose a game here on out, and you got a couple still tough ones ahead of you with Baltimore. Pittsburgh's not going to be they're not going to roll over for you. Arizona's playing halfway decent lately. You saw D. Haslam wearing the Myles Garrett hat. If you want to get into that, we never covered that. I guess I can talk about that real quick. Myles Garrett, when he went in for his appeals hearing to appeal his suspension, indefinite suspension, which got held up, by the way, said that Mason Rudolph had made a racial slur towards him. I don't think he was saying that was the reason, like this is the only reason, and therefore you should allow me to come back. However, it got brought up. The sad part about it is Myles thought this was going to be held. He didn't bring this up beforehand. Didn't make it public knowledge. Went there to the NFL saying, hey, I'm going to bring this to you guys. It should be confidential. This should not get released to the public. Next thing you know, it's getting released to the public. And now you have people, one, doubting Myles that it even happened. So basically people either thinking Myles is a liar and Mason Rudolph is a racist, and neither guy can really defend themselves, right? Neither guy can defend themselves from the other side. So there's no audio of this thing. Myles Garrett supposedly went and tried to get audio right after the game where he was told there was no audio. So he was trying to prove that, hey, this did happen. And on the other hand, you got Mason Rudolph saying this absolutely 100% didn't happen, yet he also does not have audio to prove that it did not happen. So I think Myles was doing the right thing here by going, hey, I'm going to keep this confidential. This doesn't need public knowledge. I want to bring this up to the NFL. And it's sad that he can't bring this forward without this coming out, because now you're going to have speculation in all ways. And I'm not even going to speculate on what happened. I'm not even going to comment on it because it doesn't matter. I don't know. Myles knows. Mason Rudolph knows. And if there is some audio out there that's hidden somewhere, that's whoever has that knows, but I don't, right? So we don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I don't know why Myles would be lying about it. It seems like it's not like it's going to let you off the hook. They're not going to go, oh, well, you were called a racial slur, therefore you're allowed to bang people over the head and no suspension. Like, that's not going to happen. So it's just sad that that's where we are. You know, that's where we are today. That Mason Rudolph would even, if he did say this, that's where he would take it. One, and two, that Myles Garrett can't bring this up and it be confidential. Like, the NFL, it should be ashamed of themselves. Honestly, like that's my biggest takeaway here, is that the NFL lets this thing out when there's no way for anybody here to defend themselves, Myles or Mason. Neither guy can defend themselves because there's no evidence supporting or showing against that. So either way, hate to see it. Sucks for Myles. You know, I figured it was going to be upheld, but I was hoping for it just to be, you know, the end of the season and then that's it. And now he's going to have to go back to New York and talk to the commish again. And I'm sure everything, you know, I'm sure that he'll be fine to go at the beginning of the season next year, but that's still going to be over his head. We'll see once we get there. You know, that's not the end of this by any means. The whole Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph thing is going to live in infamy anyway. So we'll see. Maybe one day this video will come out. It's like the Zapruder Kennedy film, and somebody might have it somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised. TMZ gets their hands on it or something like that. So we'll see. Let's see. What else do we have? Jacob Bible sent an email, and Jacob says, please tell me that one of you two heard Mary Kay ask Baker the question about did he know if Mason Rudolph was benched. I actually did. I went and watched that. And tell me that's not the dumbest after the game press conference question to ask a football player. Were you watching the other game to see the quarterback get benched? Yes, that was. And Baker was like, well, no, I was actually playing in a game, so therefore I couldn't have known that Mason was benched. Now, the thing is, I think Baker is like friends with Mason Rudolph. Like, they know one another, obviously, both Oklahoma guys. Both of them were pretty good college quarterbacks. And he's just like, look, man, like, I'm just trying to stay out of this whole thing. But just unbelievably stupid question by Mary Kay. Hey, did you see the other quarterback while you were playing? Did you notice? And she's like, well, I thought maybe somebody would have brought up to you. Yeah. Hey, the game's over. We just beat the Dolphins. Hey, though, did you see the Steelers game? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. These guys are wanting to just, they want to celebrate their game. They're not worried about what's going on in other games at that time. This is 10 minutes after the game. They want to shower up. He's got to come out here and talk to you guys. And Mary Kay's already hitting him with Mason Rudolph questions after the Dolphins game. They just won 41-24. We just won 41-24, and you're talking about Mason Rudolph still? Like, come on, move on already. And I'm sure Mary Kay's, God, Jacob, if you're not already blocked by Mary Kay, I'm going to send this to her to make sure. And you're welcome. I'll help you get blocked. He also says, I apologize, but the more you guys pointed it out to me when I first started listening to you guys, the more I paid attention to how shitty our media is. Maybe one day when Mary Kay and Tony are gone, things might get a little better. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Daryl will still be there. I know people really hate Mary Kay and Tony, but I think Daryl, to me, is the all-time worst. But, I mean, he's lower on it's sort of, I guess you're punching down a bit. He's the lower guy on the totem pole. But, boy, just the stuff he says, I can't believe that Daryl gets paid to cover these Browns. But, yeah, Tony Grossi, Mary Kay, we could definitely do without him. I have a number of people that I enjoy following that I would much rather see up there. So hopefully, I mean, they're getting up there in their senior years. So, I don't know if they're going to be there forever. Jobs should be opening. That's really all I got though for today. I wonder if Adam had anything. Wish he was here, but I'm going to get him back for a show. We're going to do a roster show for sure this week because I want to get in there. I want to let's talk. Like I said at the beginning, people telling me, well, you can't have both of these wide receivers. Well, I want to figure out if we can because right now it's working. I like the fact that Baker has a lot of weapons and you're going to get Njoku back. And I think, really the sky is the ceiling here. How can we make it work? I want to see. So we're going to go through that and try to figure out what's the weak links here. What can we do to make this thing better? Let's find some ways and some guys, hopefully, to fix this offensive line going forward and keeping away. Try to keep this momentum that we got going here with our playmakers. So, all right. You can hit us up on Twitter at STS Podcast, and our email is survivingtheseason@gmail.com. Same thing goes for Patreon. I can't remember what it is. Patreon.com. Surviving the Season at Patreon.com, I'm sure. That's it. And we will be back in a couple days to do a little bit of film review and go over this upcoming Pittsburgh Steelers game and a roster breakdown. All right. Looking forward to talking to you then. Until then, keep on surviving.